The Games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the City of London.
When London was awarded the 2012 Olympics 3 years ago, Seb Coe and the London Bidding Committee promised London, the UK and the world a Games that would redevelop, regenerate and leave a lasting legacy of positive impacts. But is this a gamble for the UK, and what are the chances of these pledges becoming reality? There are examples of past Games providing such legacies, the 2000 Games in Sydney for example. In 2004, it cost Greece $15 billion to host the Athens Olympics, but published around the world were these pictures of sports venues going unused, the Olympic Stadium covered in graffiti, and the Olympic Village now a gypsy site. The Games in Athens were a prime example of an unaccomplished legacy and a poorly implemented action plan. The last time a UK city hosted a major sporting event was the 2002 Commonwealth Games held in Manchester. In fact, the London Organising Committee for the Olympic Games LOCOG could do a lot worse than to follow the same legacy action plan used by Manchester Council. The Commonwealth Games have been seen as a hugely successful event that changed the image of a deprived and run-down area of East Manchester that was greatly in need of regeneration, but also provided a great sporting legacy. The city now boasts the largest concentration of sporting venues in Europe, all based at Sports City. These include a 48,000-seat football stadium, home of Premiership team Manchester City, the English Institute of Sport, the National Squash Centre, and a 6,500-seat athletics stadium. The Manchester Velodrome is also based at Sports City, which is now the home of British cycling. A sporting legacy has certainly continued here from 6 years ago, as the Velodrome recently staged the World Track Cycling Championships and is the training home of the successful British cycling team. In total, to stage the Commonwealth Games involved an investment of nearly £700 million. So what other major legacy benefits did the Games bring? Well, firstly, Manchester moved up the European Cities Monitor from 19th in 2002 to 13th in 2003. 16,000 jobs were created, £22 million of additional expenditure, £36 million was created for business opportunities, 60 hectares of land was regenerated, and health, art and young people programmes were made to create healthier communities. Eamon O'Rourke is the Head of Sport and Leisure Services at Manchester Council. He explains how organisers of the Commonwealth Games have been assisting the London coordinators in making sure 2012 provides a successful legacy.
I've certainly contributed in terms of how the 5 local authorities around Olympic Park could work on legacy and making sure the business plans are correct, and making sure that local communities feel as if these facilities are their own and not an imposition in their community.
200 miles south in Stratford in the east of London, LOCOG hoped to achieve a similar success to Manchester. In June 2007, LOCOG and the Department for Culture, Media and Sport issued 5 long-term promises that would be stimulated through hosting the Games. Firstly, to make the UK a world-leading sporting nation. Secondly, to transform the heart of East London. To inspire a generation of young people. To make the Olympic Park a blueprint for sustainable living. And lastly, to demonstrate the UK is a creative, inclusive and welcoming place to live in, visit and for business. Once the Games are finished, the media and the population of Stratford will be keeping a close eye on the progress of these promises. So what do the people of Stratford think of the Games being held in their town?
For starters, they are going to generate more employment for the local people, businesses, opportunities. The only thing has to be set up in a really wise and clever way, learning from the experience of other countries.
Hopefully in the long run, I don't know, what I would like to see is Stratford and Leighton actually coming up and becoming, more upper class, sort of nicer and neater and that sort of thing.
I think it's going to come out with a load of money. It's going to be lost out of it. Personally, I don't think the local people are going to really get anything out of it at all.
In 4 years' time, this huge construction site behind me will be transformed into the heart of the 2012 Olympic Games. After one of the largest planning applications in European history was submitted, the project moved on to phase 2, known as Demolish, Dig and Design. Stage 3, called the Big Build, is currently taking place right now and is turning this 312-hectare site into the home of the sporting venues, the Olympic Stadium, the Aquatic Centre, as well as the Olympic Village and the International Broadcast Centre. The building work currently taking place right now is ensuring that an Olympic legacy has already begun, with more than 20% of the people involved from the local area and more than 25% from the area of Greater London. This area of East London has been specifically chosen in order to use the Games as a means of regeneration. Stratford is a deprived and neglected part of the capital. It has high levels of pollution and water contamination. Unemployment levels are double the national average, and it is the most socially diverse part of the UK. The Legacy Action Plan hopes to tackle these problems by creating a different living environment, providing over 9,000 new homes and creating more than 12,000 new jobs in the area. And importantly, the sporting facilities will remain for the local community and the rest of the country to utilise. Well, what do the experts think the chances of a successful legacy are? Loughborough University in the West Midlands is the home to the Centre of Olympic Studies and Research. Eleni Theodaki is a lecturer there and was also the strategic planning consultant to the Athens 2004 Games. She believes that the 2012 Games legacy will revolve around money.
I feel that the Games in London will be capitalist games. So we talk about the Beijing Games as the human rights issue. I think there will be a take on an accusation of London as a capitalist centre. How that will exhibit itself, maybe we'll have demonstrations. I think a lot will depend on how the government and the political powers in London handle the preparations, whether they will incorporate poorer people, whether they will respect the East Londoners' desire to remain in that area.
Money has become a major talking point, as people doubt whether the billions being ploughed into hosting the Games will provide a profitable legacy. The budget has increased massively since 2003, when it was first estimated at £1.8 billion. At the start of 2007, the budget was revealed at £5.3 billion. But by the end of the year, it had reached £9.35 billion, and it could increase further. Many are now asking, considering the current economic climate in Britain, are these Games good value for money? Well, what exactly is the money being spent on? Well, in total, the Olympic Park has cost nearly £5 billion in site construction, regeneration and infrastructure. The Olympic Stadium is currently budgeted at £525 million. The Aquatic Centre at £303 million, with £61 million for a bridge providing the main gateway into the Olympic Park. And the Olympic Village, which will accommodate 17,000 athletes and officials, is costing £1 billion. As well as the economics, other parts of the legacy have come under fire. In an attempt to use the Olympics as a way of encouraging sporting participation, the government planned to introduce free swimming for over 60s. It will mean that swimming classes such as this one in Shaw, Greater Manchester, will be free to all those that attend. The overriding problem, however, is that the government does not have the budget to fund such initiatives. Each pool must instead bid for funding against other swimming pools in the area, despite already having limited resources. It is extremely important for the organisers of London 2012 to learn from the mistakes and achievements of past host countries in implementing a successful legacy. So far, it seems that LOCOG and the government are treating the 2012 legacy as a firm priority and doing all in their power to ensure that it will be successful. What they can and most probably will be relying on, however, is Britain's performance in the Games themselves. If Team GB's athletes perform as well as they have done in Beijing, the euphoria surrounding the number of medals won could be enough to cover any negative legacy issues.